The MLB Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Edge Boost. Edge Boost enables you to double your bets with no interest. Go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge to get started today. Welcome, everyone, to the MLB Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Wednesday, May the 31st, currently 5:03 on the East Coast. Last day of May, and we're here to handicap the games for Thursday, June the 1st. 7-game schedule on the diamond, and joining me here to help me break it down, you guys know him as the voice of the NFL Gambling Podcast, and of course, here on the MLB Gambling Podcast, it's Dylan Rockford. D-Rock, what's going on, my man?
What's going on, Munaf? Good to be with you today. Good to have some day baseball back. Detroit got there over the Rangers, and then we got a nice plus price there with the Halos on the road, just fading Lance Lynn. But no, good to be back with you. A hot day here on the East Coast. How about you?
Yeah, it's starting to be that time, summertime, where the temperatures are going to start rising, and hopefully we have more runs being scored. I know, obviously, with humidity and heat, the balls travel further. So, yeah, hopefully we have a great summer of baseball. I know we've been doing pretty well to start the season here, but Thursdays and Mondays are usually the days where we have less games still, and I know 7 games on the schedule here for Thursday, but we'll rock it as usual. I guess we'll just mention it at the top. The Astros game is the only game that does not have lines right now. No official pitcher yet for the Astros, but me and Dylan believe it is going to be Framber Valdez, as the Astros will be hosting the Halos. So we'll keep an eye on it as we kind of get through the games here. If it does pop up, we'll definitely mention that for the Astros, but everything else is pretty much set. Shout out to the chat again, the usual faces, Riley, Kaysen, and Randy there as well. Still waiting for TV DBJ and Captain Insano. Those guys are still missing, but I'm sure they'll be joining us soon. Dylan, let's just dive right into it, man. Probably be a pretty quick episode with only 7 games, but we'll do it as we usually do. So let's get over to the first game of I believe it's an afternoon start, as my screen goes blank here. Give me 1 second. I have to go back. Let's see here. All right, here we go. Game lines. All right, first game on the board, we have a 1:07 Eastern start between the Milwaukee Brewers and the Toronto Blue Jays. Freddie Peralta gets the start here for the Milwaukee Brewers. Kevin Gausman takes the mound for the Toronto Blue Jays. Looking at another site, as my other screen has still gone blank, but I'm seeing the Blue Jays are minus 180 favorites at home, with a take back price of plus 155 for the Milwaukee Brewers. Total set at 8.5. Run line minus 1.5, plus 115 for the Blue Jays, and plus 1.5, minus 135 for the Brewers. Freddie Peralta on the season thus far for the Brewers has been a little underwhelming, I guess we can say. Last start was a very rough start for him against the San Francisco Giants. The Brewers ended up losing that game 15-1. Only lasted 2 1/3 innings pitched in that game. Gave up 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 10 runs overall. Gave up 2 long bombs as well. On the season, he is 5-4 with a 4.64 ERA. Last 3 games, he's been getting shelled. 1-2 with an 8.56 ERA. 13 2/3 innings pitched. He's allowed 13 earned runs in that span. And on the road is where he's really gotten into trouble for the Brewers. Just 1-2 with a 6.45 ERA. He's allowed 16 earned runs in 22 1/3 innings pitched for the Milwaukee Brewers. Kevin Gausman on the other side still hasn't recorded a decision yet at home. Overall on the season, he is 3-3 with a 3.03 ERA. Has been doing really well in Rogers Stadium, where he has a 2.10 ERA. So I feel like this one was pretty simple for me, Dylan. I'm going to take the Blue Jays on the run line here at a nice plus price of -1.5. I think the bats of the Blue Jays can get to Freddie Peralta and Gossman can continue pitching the way he has been, especially at home for the Toronto Blue Jays. So I'll take the Blue Jays on the run line here, -1.5, +115 here, Dylan.
Yeah, I like the plus price getting the Blue Jays on the run line. Price is a little high for the Blue Jays on the money line, but I do like the under 8.5. I made my total 7.8. Kevin Gossman, like you said, he's been pretty good at home this season. 2.10 ERA, just 7 runs given up in 30 innings. Batters only hitting 204 off of him. Brewers, they haven't really scored too many runs this past week either. You know, they've actually lost 4 of the last 5 games, kind of slipping a little. And Blue Jays at home have been an under team all season. So I think Gossman, he's going to have success at home, limiting the bats of the Brewers. I do like the plus price for the Blue Jays on the run line, but I also like the under 8.5.
All right. Next game on the board, it is going to be a 1:10 Eastern start. We got an NL East matchup between the Philadelphia Phillies and the New York Mets. Pitchers for this game for the Phillies going to be Taijuan Walker for the Philadelphia Phillies, and Max Scherzer is on the mound for the New York Mets. Looking at the lines for this game, the Mets are a -165 home favorite, where the Phillies are a +140 road underdog. Total is set at 8.5 with a little bit of juice towards the over at -115. Run line -1.5, +135 for the Mets, and +1.5, -155 for the Philadelphia Phillies. I believe this is Taijuan Walker's first start against his former team here, Dylan.
Yes, sir, it is. And I don't know if this is a good spot for him. I'm on another under 8.5. I got it at even money. I set my total at 8. We usually see tight ball games between the Mets and Phillies, especially in New York. It is kind of a pitcher's ballpark, excuse me. Last night game ended 2-0. Mets surprisingly got the win too. I think it's another good spot for them, but I'm not the most confident. You know, Scherzer, he has been lights out at home this season. He hasn't actually let up a single run in his 2 starts at Citi Field. Mets also did win both of those games. I don't know what it is, but Scherzer just seems to be locked in when he pitches at Citi Field. And as for the Phillies offense, for whatever reason, they've kind of regressed a little. They've gotten out of the top 10, only 2 hits last night, 6 runs in the past 3 games. So I think this might be a bad spot for them. I think Scherzer will be locked in tomorrow. He's probably going to limit the batters of the Phillies. So Mets, they're not scoring a bunch of runs either. I like under 8.5.
Yeah, ever since Mad Max has returned from the suspension, he's been really good for the New York Mets. Over his last 3 games, he's 2-0 with a 1.00 ERA, 18 innings pitched. He's only allowed 2 earned runs, 19 strikeouts to 3 walks. And again, like Dylan mentioned, that he's been really good at home as well in Citi Field, where he's pitched 11 innings and only allowed a whole goose egg of runs to the opposition. So I like another run line here. I do like your underplay as well. I'm going to go back to a -1.5 price here, +135 for the New York Mets. I just think Scherzer's going to pitch one. I do think that Walker will probably give up a few to the Mets bats as well. I think this is a really good spot here for the Mets. So I'll take the Mets -1.5, +135. If you are a parlay player, maybe it's a nice parlay piece for -165 on the Mets as well, if you want to put that together with the Blue Jays. So, yeah, those are a couple of options there. Before we keep it rolling here, Dylan, let me tell everyone about the newest sponsor on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. That is going to be Edge Boost. This episode is supported by Edge Boost. Edge Boost is the world's first bet now, pay later Visa card. Edge currently offers up to $2,500 in betting advances, which can be extremely valuable tool. Imagine what you could do with an increased bankroll. Get down on some of your favorite futures without tying up your bankroll for months. Double down on your favorite bet you like, or even use to create an awesome middle or even a hedge opportunity. Edge Boost isn't some sleazy loan shark. They charge 0% interest. Do you know of a way you can access more money to place on your favorite bets without having to pay any interest? I can find one. Support SGPN and grow your bankroll by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Sign up. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/edge. Must be 21 years or older to use. Problem gambling? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Dylan, next game on the docket, we have, let me go back to my screen again. another 110 Eastern start. We got the San Diego Padres. They are down in Florida to take on the Marlins. Joe Musgrove gets a start here for the San Diego Padres, and Jesus Luzardo gets a start here for the Miami Marlins. Looking at the lines for this game, I'm currently seeing the Padres are a minus 120 road favorite, even money on the money line for the Marlins. Total set at 8. Run line minus 1.5, plus 140 for the Padres, and plus 1.5, minus 165 for the Marlins here. Dylan, what do you got for this game?
Yeah, I'm going to another question, but I gotta ask you, serious question, Munaf. Are the Marlins a better team right now than the Padres?
We're all kind of been waiting for this offense for the Padres to show up just because of the names that they have. I mean, they're top 5 guys. They should be tops in all offense. They should be at least top 3 in all offensive categories with the type of lineup that this team has. And it just hasn't worked out for them for whatever reason. But yeah, I'm not sure if they are the better team. Right now, in current form, you could say the Marlins are, but I think eventually the Padres will get it together.
Yeah, on paper, Padres definitely have the star power, but I think it's a kind of a coin flip game. I feel like these teams are much more comparable. The gap is closer than I guess we thought going into this season. But the Marlins, they're top 10 in batting average. They don't strike out. And when they get on base, they're aggressive. They steal. They're top 10 in total hits. It's hard not to give credit to this Marlins team. Padres, for all their star power, they're only hitting 222 on the year. Marlins, they're hitting 259. So they really don't have star power, but they are a better hitting team right now. So I'm going to continue to ride the under with the Padres. 17-34 on the under this season, 7-17 toward the under on the road. Marlins, they're also an under team, especially at home, 8-15 toward the under at home. Musgrove, he's much better on the road, and in his last 4 starts, all been low scoring. They've all gone under the number. So think we see another low scoring, maybe 3-1, 4-2 type game. But I got under 8 at plus money. I set my total at 7.7. So I'm going to take another under.
Yeah, Padres a little bit above league average when it comes to batting numbers against left-handed pitching. WRC plus, they are number 13. Looking at team batting average against left-handed pitching, they are number 17. So I think it just averages out for them being a average team against left-handed pitching. But again, we're all just kind of waiting for this offense to show up for the Padres. But I agree with you. I do like the under in this game. I'm right there with you on that under. All right, next game on the board, we have a 3:40 Eastern start between an NL West matchup, Colorado Rockies and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Chase Anderson gets a start here for the Colorado Rockies, and Zach Davies gets a start here for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Looking at the lines for this game, I'm currently seeing that the Diamondbacks are a minus 165 home favorite, plus 140 on the money line for the Colorado Rockies. Over under set at 10 at minus 115 towards the over. Run line minus 1.5, plus 115 for the Diamondbacks, and plus 1.5, minus 135 for the Colorado Rockies. D-Rock, what do you got for this game?
Yeah, it's going to be another under for me, Munaf. Under 10.5. I actually see 10.5 at FanDuel. 10, you could get a little cheaper at minus 105. Either one is good. I set my total at 9.1. Zach Davies seems like he has a high ERA, but he hasn't been that bad. If you look under the hood, only one hiccup against the Dodgers. But outside that game, he's been pretty solid in both of those games, ended 2-1 in a very low-scoring game. And on the other side, Chase Anderson, he's only making his second start on the road, but he only pitched 2 innings in that first start. So don't know how much really he could put into that. But his last 3 starts where he was able to actually go deep into the game, 5 innings in all 3 starts, he's only allowed 3 runs in 15 2/3 innings. And those 3 games all went under this number as well. So we saw a lower scoring game last night between these 2 teams. I think it ended around 5-1, 6-1. So it kind of seems like the Rockies' bats died out a little bit as well after going on that run. So I think we see another similar type game, 4-2, 5-1, something like that. But 10.5 seems too big. So give me the under.
Yeah, man, Chase Anderson has been actually really good so far for the Colorado Rockies in his 3 starts, like you mentioned. 15 2/3 innings pitch. He's only allowed 3 earned runs in that span, 4 walks, and a total of 8 strikeouts. So I think it was the last game, I thought, against the Mets where he would blow up, but he didn't. He pitched a really good game at home in Coors Field. And kind of take a look at the overall numbers for him. This is only going to be his second or his first official start on the road for the Rockies, but I felt like there was some value here on the Colorado Rockies on the plus price, especially how well Chase
Mhm.
Anderson's been playing. Zach Davies, I know he had 4 starts last season against the Rockies. Two of them were really great at home in Arizona, where he went 11 and 1/3 innings pitched. Didn't allow any earned runs in that game. But in the 2 starts in Colorado is where he did get into trouble. So I agree about the under here. I just feel like these two pitchers are in good form right now, especially Chase Anderson. I
Yeah.
like the under, like you mentioned. I'm also going to go with the Colorado Rockies on the money line here, or at least in the first 5 innings. Give me the Colorado Rockies first 5 inning money line here behind Chase Anderson. All right, next game on the board is going to be, let's see here, a nightcap game. A 7:10 Eastern start between the Cincinnati Reds and the Boston Red Sox. Hunter Greene gets to start here for the Cincinnati Reds, and Chris Sale, left-handed pitcher for the Boston Red Sox. I do see that the Reds are a plus 135 underdog in this game. Chris Sale and the Red Sox are a minus 155 home favorite. Total is set at 9. Looks like it's headed towards an 8.5 with a little bit of vig towards the under at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5 plus 135 for the Red Sox and plus 1.5 minus 155 for the Cincinnati Reds. Hunter Greene thus far this season. Um, I can say he's been better than last season. There's no doubt about that. He had a really good start in his last start, his best start of the season. 6 shutout innings against the Chicago Cubs. Didn't allow any hits in that game to the Cubbies. Finished that game with 11 strikeouts. He's had back-to-back starts with double-digit strikeouts. He's faced the Yankees and the Chicago Cubs. But with Hunter Greene, we know it's either that he's going to give up hard contact and he's going to give up home runs, or he's going to strike you out. And that's pretty much what it is for Hunter Greene. Chris Sale on the other side, since he came back from his first couple starts, they were very wobbly starts, as Malcolm likes to say. At least his first 3 starts, where he allowed a total of 15 earned runs. But over his last 3 starts here, Dylan, he's been really good for the Red Sox. 2-0 with a 1.80 ERA, 20 innings pitched. He's only allowed 4 earned runs to the opposition over those last 3 starts. And in Fenway Park, yeah, he's 1-0 with a 3.86 ERA, 16 innings pitched. He has allowed 10 earned runs in that span. But again, most of those came against the Baltimore Orioles, where he did allow 7 earned runs. So 7 of the 10 earned runs that he's allowed at Fenway Park came all in one start, which was his first start this season on April 1st against the Orioles. I'm gonna back the Red Sox here. I like them on the money line. Another run line play for me as well at a plus price of plus 135. Chris Sale, I like what I've seen over his last 3 starts. I think they can carry that into Fenway Park. And like I mentioned, he's pitched really well at home for the Red Sox as well. Over his last 3 starts at home, he's allowed a combined of 3 earned runs in those starts, and he's gone, let's see here, 14, 20 and 1/3 innings in those starts. So I think it's going to stay in great form here. I think the batting lineup of the Red Sox can get to Hunter Greene here and tag him for a few runs. I'm going to go with the Red Sox in this game here, Dylan.
Yeah, what a nice little streak the Reds have been on. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people it'd be a public play, especially at the underdog price. I see plus 140, plus 135s out there. They've won 4 in a row. They just beat the Red Sox last night. They're scoring a bunch of runs. But I do like the Red Sox. I did make them a minus 170 favorite. So I do like them. I like the plus price as well with on the run line. I actually like the over 9 at minus 105. I set my total at a 9.8. The way the Reds have been swinging the bat, they've gone over in 4 straight games, and they've actually been an over team this whole season, 30 and 23 toward the over, 7 and 3 in their last 10. So we already know what the Red Sox have been doing towards the over this season. So 18 and 7 toward the over at Fenway. And Reds, sneakily enough, they're a top 10 offense right now. So we already know the Red Sox are a top 10 offense as well. Reds, I think they're hitting 280 off of lefties as well. I think Chris Sale could give up runs, but I also agree where I think Hunter Greene will give up some runs too. So agree with the Red Sox run line play, but I also like the over. There are actually even 8.5s out there as well. So
Yeah, definitely. Again, shop around for the best numbers if you obviously like one way or the other. But yeah, like Dylan, you mentioned, on the season, the Reds against left-handed pitching, 280 team batting average, which ranks number 6 in the entire league. On base percentage is number 9 in
yeah.
the entire league. Isn't there for them, but they are above league average at number 12. And OPS, they are also number 10 against left-handed pitching. So they're mostly in top 10 categories against left-handed pitching so far this season. And on Wednesday night, they also faced another left-handed pitcher in James Paxton. So that might be another game where you do see runs being put up by both of these teams in that game. Before we get to the final couple games here for the Thursday schedule, let me tell everyone about 2 contests that are happening on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network in honor of the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup Finals. It's exclusively on the SGPN app. There's, like I mentioned, a series, NBA Finals series long prop bets, and then also for the Stanley Cup and game-by-game props as well. So, again, make sure if you guys are joining these contests, which you should be, because they are completely free, and that's how we do it on SGPN. And if you don't have the app already, I don't know why you don't have it. Make sure to download it. Go to your app store, whether it's a Google Play Store, whether it's the App Store, just download the SGPN app. Hit that contest tab. You'll see both the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup contest on there. Winner of each contest gets a $100 SGPN gift card for each of those contests. So I don't know what the odds might be on Dylan on one person winning both of those contests, but there's a lot of great stuff in that merch store. A lot of great t-shirts, fan shirts, a lot of great stuff, and novelty items as well. So hop into the contest for the NBA Finals and the Stanley Cup as well. But again, make sure it's free to enter, but it's only exclusively on the SGPN app. All right, Dylan, let's get over to the final couple games here on the Thursday schedule. We will go to the penultimate game, 8:40 Eastern start. Sorry, 7:40 Eastern start between the Cleveland Guardians and the Minnesota Twins, a battle of the AL Central teams. Tanner Bybee gets a start here for the Cleveland Guardians, and for the Twins, I believe it is Pablo Lopez that's going to get the start for the Twins. Twins are a minus 130 home favorite here, Dylan, and plus 110 on the money line for the Cleveland Guardians. Total is set at 8 with a little bit of vig towards the under at minus 115. Run line minus 1.5 plus 155 for the Twins, and plus 1.5 minus 180 for the Cleveland Guardians. I'll start here with Tanner. He's actually been pretty solid for this Cleveland Guardians team. On the season, he is 1-1 with a 2.88 ERA, 34 1/3 innings pitched, 11 earned runs. He's only given up to the opposition on the road. No decision yet. He's pitched 11 1/3 innings there, 3.18 ERA, 4 earned runs. He's allowed 8 strikeouts to 4 walks. It's really been in Cleveland where he has been dominant, but this game is on the road. He's had 2 road starts thus far this season. Both have come against the New York teams, the Mets and the Mets and the Yankees. And he did take losses in both of those games, but he did pitch pretty well in both of those starts. In combined, like I mentioned, 11 1/3 innings pitched and gave up 4 earned runs. On the other side for the Minnesota Twins, we have Pablo Lopez. Trying to pull up his numbers here quickly because the site I used still has TBD for the Twins. But Pablo Lopez on the season, 3-3 with a 4.11 ERA, 81 strikeouts to 20 walks. The walks are an issue for Pablo Lopez. He's allowed at least 3 walks in 3 out of his last 4 starts. His last start came against the Toronto Blue Jays, where he went 5 2/3 innings, allowed 4 earned runs. And then his previous start against, or 2 starts ago against the Dodgers, was another bad start for him as well. How he's done in Minnesota thus far this season: 2-1 with a 5.46 ERA, 29 and 2/3 innings pitched. He's allowed 18 earned runs in that span. And on the road, he's pitched a lot better, 1-2 with a 3.00 ERA. But I like the value here with Tanner Bybee and the Cleveland Guardians. At plus 110, I'm going to take them. I don't trust Pablo Lopez. We've seen multiple times this bullpen for the Minnesota Twins has given up a lot of leads. We saw them do it against the Houston Astros. And there's only really 2 times I want to back this Minnesota Twins team is when Joe Ryan is on the mound and when Sonny Gray is on the mound. Those 2 pitchers have been very profitable for me within the first 5 innings. But I believe I have the better pitcher here in the Guardians with Bybee. The bullpen has been bad, like I mentioned, for the Twins, and I just don't trust Pablo Lopez. So I'll take the plus price here on the Guardians, plus 110 on the money line here for me, Dylan.
Yeah, I see even plus 116 out there. So if you want to shop around and get a better number with the Guardians, I'm actually going to be on the Twins here. Going to be on the opposite side. I got them at home, minus 130. Actually, my numbers made them a minus 160 favorite. I think they have a slight, I wouldn't say big advantage, but I think a slight advantage. He's kind of been up and down, Pablo Lopez, but at home, the Twins have won 4 of his last 5 starts at home this season. You're right. I do think the walks are an issue. He gets himself into trouble sometimes, command issues. But, he is good for a few runs. I think the Guardians can, and especially, Kason said in the chat, the offense is starting to break out a little. So maybe they do take advantage of him. But Twins, they are good at home, 16-12 straight up, while the Guardians, they're under 500, 12-14 straight up. I do think we see a lower scoring game. I lean under 8. I set my total at 7.2. I think it could be a lower scoring game. But I do think the Twins have a little better of a lineup. I'm going to trust Pablo Lopez to bounce back here at home. I wouldn't lay more than 140 with the Twins at home, but right now at minus 130, I think it's a good price. So I'm going to be on the other side.
All right. And then, like we mentioned, the last game of the night, it's going to be a battle of AL West teams. The Los Angeles Angels and the Houston Astros, 8:10 Eastern start. Reed Detmers is what I'm seeing for the Angels here, Dylan. Is that what you see for them as well?
Yeah, I got Reed Detmers going for the Angels and then Framber Valdez for the Astros.
Okay. I can quickly get into Reed Detmers here. I don't, again, still no lines up yet. Detmers has been pretty consistent, I guess we can say, about giving up runs. He's given up at least 2 earned runs in every single one of his starts. He hasn't made it. He's only made it to the 6th inning in just one of his 9 starts this season. And again, this is another pitcher that gives up a lot of walks. He's given up at least 2 walks in 5 straight starts. He's allowed 3 walks in 2 of his last 5 starts as well. On the road so far this season, 0-2 with a 4.43 ERA. He's allowed 14 runs overall, and 10 of them have been earned on the road. Still no win yet for Reed Detmers, where he is 0-4 on the season with a 4.93 ERA. And at night, 0-3 with a 5.34 ERA. I'm going to try to see how he's done against the Astros in his career. Let me see here. Reed Detmers, not too bad. 1-1 with a 3.98 ERA. His last start against the Astros came back on September 2nd of last season, where he went 4 1/3, allowed 4 earned runs. But all 4 of his starts against the Astros, coincidentally, did all come at Angel Stadium. Framber Valdez on the other side is what we think is, or who is going to be the starter for the Houston Astros. 5-4 on the season with a 2.38 ERA, 77 strikeouts to 15 walks. Last 5 games, he's been really good for the Astros. 3-1 with a 2.18 ERA. Despite having a 1-4 record at home this season, he has a 2.45 ERA in that span. He just had one bad start against the Chicago Cubs, which was back on May 15th, where he did allow 4 earned runs in 4 starts. But in his last 2 starts, which came against the Oakland A's, I don't know how much we can take away from it. 15 innings pitched, only allowed 1 earned run in that span. And against the Angels in his career, Framber Valdez is 8-4 with a 3.73 ERA. Been in 16 total appearances. He did have one start earlier this season against the Angels back on May 9th here, Dylan, in LA. A beautiful outing. Eight innings pitched. He allowed one earned run and 12 strikeouts. Two of his last three starts against the Angels, he's recorded double-digit strikeouts, 13 strikeouts and 12 strikeouts. So if you want to take a look at a strikeout prop for Framber Valdez and also a walk prop for Reed Detmers, I think that might be a way to attack it. But I do feel comfortable with Framber Valdez on the mound here for the Astros. I know we don't have lines, but Dylan, what did your lines come out to for this game?
Yeah, so my lines came out. I made the Astros a -150 favorite. -1.5 is at -105. So hopefully we could get a plus price on the Astros on the run line. Same thing for the Angels, but reverse. And as for the total, I made my total 8.4. So like you said, I don't know. You got to think they'll open up as the favorite at home. The Astros, they are the hotter team right now. 17-8 straight up in the month of May. They're playing really good baseball right now. The Astros, they've won 4 straight of Valdez's starts. And the last time he faced them, like you said earlier in the month, 8 strong innings, only allowed 1 run, struck out 12 batters, and it was only the home run that he gave up. So I think the Astros, I think they could win comfortably here. Yeah. Might be a unit and a half play. Hopefully they don't end up like too egregious of a favorite at home. But yeah, I'm not in the business of backing Reed Detmers. Like you said, he walks a lot of guys, so maybe a walk prop would be interesting here. But I'll probably be on the Astros here. If we could get a plus price on the run line, I'd happily take that.
Yep. All right. So we'll wait for those lines to come out. But that was the only game that was really off the board for the 7-game schedule on Thursday. So that was the last game to handicap. One order of business left here, Dylan. That is going to be our lock and dog for the Thursday schedule. Again, limited menu to pick from, but again, we will hopefully provide some more winners for you guys. Dylan, why don't you lead us off, man? What do you got for your lock and dog?
Yeah, so my lock, I was going to go in the same game, but since the number got up there, I'm going to take the under 10.5 with the Rockies and the D-back. Zach Davies and Chase Anderson, like you said, they've been really serviceable this season. Zach Davies, like I said, I think the ERA is a little skewed because of that one hiccup, but Chase Anderson, he's been good, only 3 runs in 15 2/3 innings. So I think we see a lower scoring game. Under 10.5 is my lock. And for my dog, just going to fade the Padres. I'm going to continue to fade them, fade Joe Musgrove. I don't think they're a good hitting team right now. I think Marlins will be able to get to them. So home puppies, give me the Marlins here. I saw it at plus 110. Is that still the number? Do you see that?
For the Marlins,
yeah.
I think I see a even money now for them, but they're still technically an underdog.
Okay, so if you allow it, I'll take that. If not, hopefully we could get Astros on the run line. But either or, those are my dogs.
Yeah, that works. All right, for my lock, I am gonna go. They're both plus prices anyway, so I don't think it really matters which way I go. For my lock, give me the Toronto Blue Jays -1.5 plus 115 on the run line. Freddie Peralta, we talked about it. It's just really a fate of him. He just hasn't been very good this season for the Milwaukee Brewers, especially on the road. We discussed the numbers. I think the Blue Jays bats are going to be able to get to him. And I think Kevin Gausman will continue being brilliant at Rogers Center or Rogers Stadium or whatever they call it up there in Toronto. So I'll take the run line. I think they do win by at least 2 runs here. So -1.5 plus 115 for my lock. And for my dog, I'm going to take your Mets, Dylan. They were good to me on the last time I was on the pod. I took them on the run line at a very nice plus 155 price. Did barely get the victory of 2-0 in that game. But with Max Scherzer, since he has returned from that suspension in those 3 games, he's been absolutely brilliant. And I think that's going to continue on Thursday afternoon against the Philadelphia Phillies, whose offense has kind of gone missing, and I think that Max Scherzer will continue his dominance. He's done well against the Phillies in his career. Taijuan Walker, not a guy that I can trust either. I think the Mets can tag him for a few runs. So at -1.5 plus 125 on the run line for the New York Mets, that is going to be my dog for the day. All right, man. Short pod here today, 33 minutes. And again, we only had 7 games on schedule. Anything else we want to mention, Dylan, before we get out of here?
No, just make sure you guys like, subscribe, and leave a review. It literally takes 5 seconds when you're subscribing. Also, WNBA podcast with Scott and Terrell. We're probably going to drop 3 episodes a week. It's WNBA is kind of hard. They don't release lines like baseball where we could do it 24 hours in advance. So make sure you guys like and subscribe over at the WNBA pod as well. We're trying to steal the followers from the NBA pod. I know, Munaf, you guys got a lot over there.
Yeah, we do our best, but hey, man, we support both the men and the women, so it's a shared thing there. So yeah, if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the WNBA Gambling Podcast with my guys Terrell, Dylan, and Scott over there. They've been crushing it. I know they did really well last season as well. So for fan of hoops, make sure to stay throughout the summer with the ladies, man. It's a good opportunity to make a lot of money there with the WNBA. All right, we'll be back tomorrow for the Friday games. Like Dylan said, make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel here on the MLB Gambling Podcast. And please leave us a rating and review if you haven't already. Till then, good luck with your bets. Let's break these books off and let it ride.